Ready, go.
Dan Grider, it is August 4, 2024, Probable Cause. Glad to have you with us here Sunday night. Yes, it's Sunday night again. You people keep coming back. How does that keep on happening? Well, I've been doing this Sunday night deal interspersed with some of the other videos that I do. Been doing it just coming up on 2 years here, the Sunday night thing. I want to say thanks, and I appreciate all of you guys jumping in here and watching. Tonight's video is pretty traditional. I got some blood and guts and some other stuff. I got the accident data. I got all that stuff. I got everything that you want to see. You've seen from the title. I know why you're here and what you want to hear about. I'll include some of that stuff towards the end just to force you to stick around and eat your popcorn and be a good little boy, sit on the couch and do what mama says like you're supposed to. It's Sunday night. Let me explain about this YouTube thing. It's pre-recorded. It's released at 9:30 Eastern on Sunday nights, but I pre-record it and edit it and drop in the graphics. The chat, if you're in the live chat, that is live. So as you see the video, you can add live comments and you can comment. It's a whole lot better than commenting in regular. The live chat is actually kind of fun. We normally have 2,000, 2,500 people in there for every Sunday night. It's gotten to be a little party line thing. So it's kind of fun, and it's a good way for you to keep up with what's going on. I'm going to talk just a little bit about the EAA lawsuit. EAA did get served a negligence lawsuit. I'm going to read it to you on the screen here as a direct and proximate result of EAA's negligence. That's in paragraph 82. 83 says the negligence of EAA. This is hard to explain, but it truly does have to do with the culture of EAA, the management, and what they set up in their fun fly zone. As it turns out, the fun fly zone was something that EAA arbitrarily created and poofed it into existence. It's a Class D inside of a Class D. They said that they had some general overall towering waiver from FAA allowing them to do that. Our research and the attorneys that crafted and created this says not true. All EAA did was gave it a name. The fun fly zone is what's caused the death last year. It has to do with the culture of EAA and some of the other things that we saw last week. If you saw last week's video, yes, that one was unusual, but I want you to know that it got 1.1 million minutes watched, and it got, I don't know, something like 60,000 views in the last 6 days. So it tells me that somebody is watching our stuff. I did send a letter to Jack Pelton. I had 4 or 5 attorney firms reach out to me and tell me that that's absolutely illegal and horrific what they did to the other 4 innocent people up at AirVenture, stalking them and following them around. EAA security is not a contract. That's volunteers with a vest on mopeds following people that have absolutely nothing to do with me. Some of those people, 2 of them were women, 2 of them were men, but 2 of the 4 were fairly scared because of what happened. The 4 elected to split up and try to get off the grounds as best they could. Before they got off the grounds, those security people did follow them, approach them. 2 of them were interrogated, and they're not even police officers. They're EAA volunteers with a security vest is all it is. The whole thing is crazy. I wrote a letter to Jack Pelton and had an attorney send it. I asked for Jack's simple apology, and we'll call this closed. The crimes against all 4, especially 2 of the women, was astounding, but so far I asked for a return simple apology on behalf of EAA that she made a mistake following and harassing these 4 unrelated individuals. So far, nothing. If you want to write a letter to Jack, here's his email. I'll put it on the screen here right here. Jack Pelton at EAA, and you can write to him. Interestingly enough, Jack is the one I mentioned this last week. Jack got released from Textron as the CEO once they found out that he had no college degree. He had a fake address and a fake college degree from some location in Wyoming, which turned out to be a gas station. Masters in engineering? I don't think so. Bachelor's in engineering? Didn't have it. That's your CEO of EAA, and that tells you a little bit about the scruples of the person. You can Google Jack Pelton's fake college degree and see what happened there. I'm not making it up. That actually happened. And that's the same Jack of all trades at EAA right now running the show. I think Jack's on his way out. I think he's probably had just about enough. But Jack, if you're listening to this, I would like, not for me, but for the other 4 people, just a simple apology to those people. I think you did the wrong thing. If you want to come after me, you can come after me. That's fine. But those 4 people unrelated, following them around, especially following Dylan on a moped all the way off the grounds and chasing him on a moped, I think that is not good. I wrote to a couple of places and I gave a copy of the lawsuit. One of them was Flying Magazine. The other one was AvWeb. Here's the response I got from AvWeb. I'll read it to you here on the screen here. I wrote to AvWeb and gave them a copy just to see if they thought it might be interesting news. And I mentioned that I said, I know you're probably not going to publish this because you're probably afraid of the EAA. And Russ Niles said, we're not in fear of EAA. Don't be ridiculous. I haven't even looked at this yet. Now, this is 4 days ago. I said, we will all be watching to see what you publish. Russ says, we've already run the NTSB final report. Not sure this adds much to that. And I said, okay, I'll publish that response. And I did. Now, I sent the same thing to Flying Magazine. Here's what Flying Magazine, Meg, my friend Meg, published this article. She took the actual lawsuit, read it, understood it, and published this article. It is true. This represents the first time ever that EAA has been a named defendant in a negligence. The act of negligence in designing and allowing and creating that airspace, the Class D, within the Class D that did not have an air boss. It wasn't waivered airspace. It was not a TFR. There was no control tower operator there. There was no pink shirt. There was nothing there. There's no way to authorize, regulate, or control the flying activities that went on at the Fun Fly Zone. Hence, the fatal accident. Obviously, you put all that kind of a mix together and just say, everybody go for it. And if we don't like you, we'll tell you not to fly. Obviously, that's not going to work, and it didn't. I have heard that the Fun Fly Zone has been canceled for next year and moved. I don't know if that's true yet, but we're fixing to find out. EAA is going to have a hard time defending this because of the deaths and because of what they did. It's pretty well documented now, and there is no waiver in place to create the Fun Fly Zone and operate it like they did in 2023 or 2024. One of the other EAA things we're going to talk about later in this video, hang tight, it's coming, is the arrival. You've all heard about flying into AirVenture. It's kind of crazy dangerous. It's non-standard, and I don't like it. Somebody once told me if you want to do a whole bunch of complaining, always offer a solution with the complaint, and I've done that in this particular case. At the end of this, I'm going to show you exactly what's wrong. I'm going to let you listen to some ATC tapes. You let me know what you think, but the whole arrival up there, the way they've got ATC and the pink shirts constructed here for the flow of traffic coming into AirVenture is crazy. It's dangerous. I've read the comments. My last video got, I don't even know, but lots of comments from people who have done it in the past and said they'll never do it again. That puts EAA in a very strange position because the fewer people that fly in, it becomes no longer a fly-in, it becomes a drive-in, and then parking becomes a problem. Parking passes, it becomes too expensive and too inconvenient. Where are you going to put all those cars? When people stop flying their airplanes in and there's not enough airplanes to fill up all those spaces, it becomes not a fly-in. And I think people in the future are going to recognize the danger of flying into AirVenture and how unsafe and non-standard it is. I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the video. I got some tapes I want you to hear, and we'll go on from there.
Just give a good scan. This is the scary part.
Landing on the dot is not the hard part of flying into AirVenture.
Look at this.
Going to make a modified
That is
turn in for
frightening
runway
if that's
9.
someone right on top of us.
Make sure you check your gear. Monitor tower now on 118.5. And back to the Cessna Type.
Is there someone like right up there? Look up.
Keep the microwave antenna off your right-hand side.
Look at that.
Cirrus, I believe it was.
If that's real.
Start your descent. You can monitor tower 118.15.
It's like we're in flight with that guy. If he's that close, we may be like under his nose. You know what I mean?
We do have some celebrating to do concerning our statistics. Our general aviation fatal accident rate is good despite what you've heard. I've got the data to show you. in 2024. So far, we're in August 4. We're the lowest general aviation fatal accident rate we have ever seen, and I'll put that up on the screen. So far in the month of August, we've only had one fatal, and that was a gyrocopter home-built experimental kind of a thing. I'll talk a little bit more about that, but we do have two reasons for celebrating. One is our general aviation fatal accident rate is the lowest it's ever been, and I want to show you this on the screen. This is a quick compilation of YouTubers. Now, I recognize, I'm going to put this on the screen right now, I recognize there's more YouTubers than this. Obviously, there's a lot, and there's some that aren't on here. Out of all these, this is YouTube data, and I want you to know that YouTube doesn't care anything about your subscription base. How many subscribers you have makes zero difference to YouTube. All they care about is your minutes watched. If you're producing good content, then people are watching your content, and that comes out to minutes watched. So this column on the right here, I've left it blank for now, but I want you to take a guess. Out of the channels that you see here, a lot of them that you'll recognize here, that's me, Aviation 101, Flight Shops, ASI, that's Air Safety Institute, AOPA, Flywire, AvWeb, Millie Can, Mike Patey, Trent Palmer, EAA, Matt Guthmiller, NTSB, FAA, and Flying Magazine. Out of those, take a guess. Minutes watched. Who has the most minutes watched? And if you had to rank them, how would you rank these in random order here? I'll give you the answer in just a minute in the live chat. Why don't you give me an answer here? And why don't you tell me who the top three are in minutes watched? I don't really care about how many subscribers they got. All we want is minutes watched, because that is how YouTube selects to recommend your content, to respread it and redistribute it even further. It's all based on minutes watched. I'm going to give you the answer to this because I have it. I'm going to give it to you here in just a second. So before we do that, I'm going to put July data up on the screen here. I'll go through these a little bit better. Some of them I've already talked extensively about, but I want to take a look at this very last one on here. Take a look on the screen here. This is November 903 US. It's a PA-28180 in South Dakota. I said last week, I have no idea what happened. This is a classic example of DTSB at work. This is our people, volunteers out in the field that went and figured this out. If you Google this, there's almost no information on it, on who it was and what the deal is. NTSB has been there. They missed all the big clues. They didn't see what we saw. They don't have it put together. I'm going to tell you exactly what the deal is here, and this is why DTSB is so important. This is why this Sunday night broadcast is so important. This accident is only a few days old. I'm going to tell you who the guy was and what he did wrong, and how you can not die in your Cherokee or your Cessna, because he did this. Take a look at this. His name was Charles Schneider, and here's what he did. He picked up his airplane. His airplane was based in Sioux Falls, and he had to get it down to Yankton for maintenance. So he was going to fly down to Yankton. It was clear when he left Sioux Falls. He hopped in his airplane. I don't believe he ever even got a weather brief. He got most of the way down towards Yankton, and here's what the weather was. This is the accident site, and this is where the weather is. Charles hit a wall of IMC that went all the way to the ground. This wreckage debris, he tried to go lower and lower and lower. His idea was to scud run it the rest of the way into Yankton. The wreckage was found only just a few miles off the direct GPS magenta line, straight snap line, chalk line course between Sioux Falls and Yankton. The airplane was not very far off that line, but he drove it lower and lower and lower, maybe a little bit to the left, and he hit this tree. Take a look at these these still images here. This airplane started hitting the trees just prior to the road. The first impact mark is on the road, and it ended up in a ball of fire in this field. This is VFR into IMC. Charles thought that he could go lower. He was a private pilot, only 2 years as a private pilot, less than 100 hours in his own private pilot Cherokee, and he drove it lower and lower and lower. Now, if you can get that information from the NTSB, good luck. It'll be 3 years before they even conclude. They're not going to see the debris and the data that we found prior to the road. He actually hit the trees. He lost a wingtip even before he got to the road out there. This airplane was low and in the trees, and it was coming apart. It impacted. There's a tire mark in the road before it bounced and went across into this field. It was over. There's no way to get out of that airplane. That airplane burst into flames, and Chuck was trapped inside. This is VFR into IMC. It can happen to the best of us. What's the answer? The answer is turn around. He was day VFR when he left. He encountered something that he was not expecting and did not have any idea was about to happen to him. What's the correct answer? Don't push your luck. Turn around, go home and get a cup of coffee and wait 2 hours and allow that stuff to burn off or clear up or whatever you got to do. pushing this airplane into those conditions and pushing lower and lower and lower to try to make his maintenance appointment to get his airplane looked at that morning. That's the kiss of death. That's get there itis. He pushed it lower and lower. You'll never figure that out from the NTSB. That's DTSB, has been there and collected the pictures and collected the stuff. We've got all the stuff. We even have the actual ADSB unit off the airplane that was found. He went low and he hit the stuff. That's November 903 US. Our deepest respects and condolences to Chuck's family. No disrespect intended. Obviously, a great guy, well-liked, a friendly guy. Everybody liked Chuck. He simply made a mistake. This is a private pilot mistake, and I want you to not make the same mistake. Chuck had no intention or desire to end up that way. Obviously, he ended up alive in that field, burning to death in that airplane because he forced it lower, and you can do the same thing. Think about this. Turn around and go back to base. That's November 903 US. I'm going to put this back up on the screen here, and I'm going to talk through a few more of them. Remember the first one on here, 739 Golf Victor. That's the very young Maisie Bittler, age 17, a full flap go around, and she stalled her airplane. The 182 Night IMC and Terrain. That's November 2198 Golf, and it was Adam Plummer, 59 years old. Remember, I built this for Adam and all the rest of you guys. Pick one. Adam picked 3 of these things. He was Night, IMC, and Terrain. The only thing he didn't have was ice, and it did not work out. Don't do that. The very next one here is November 81250. That's the Cherokee down in Florida. I believe that was DMMS. I believe that was a go-around. Now, here's a picture of Dylan's takeoff in his Cherokee. I want you to notice how flat he climbs out here. He makes a takeoff. He goes level until he gets DMMS. From the time Dylan rotates, he never busts DMMS until he's on final, and then he becomes a VREF airplane. You can do the exact same thing. You can define and placard DMMS in your airplane. Don't let that airplane get slow. You can be less than DMMS for a half a microsecond during takeoff, but get DMMS, climb out at DMMS. It will absolutely save your life. It's defined minimum maneuvering speed. Dylan is out on the road here today. Him and Drew are out visiting my parents, and they flew the little Cherokee out there. They're having a great time eating some sweet corn here with my parents for just a couple days here. And then he's back on the road again here, building some more time in his little Cherokee. Let's go on to the next one. This is November 751 Tango X-Ray. That's the T-51. I said Chinese knockoff on the propeller blades. Maybe, I don't know. Turns out they're saying that they think that those were the actual composite blades that are supposed to be on there. So far, no funny business reported on the actual blades, but that prop reduction, gear reduction mechanism did fall apart. Apparently, spread those blades and those gearboxes everywhere. You know what this guy did? This is Mr. Williams. His name was John Williams, 75 years old. You know what he did? When he was facing north and he had his engine failure, he had all those fields to the right and straight ahead that he could have put that airplane gear up in a field, no problem. He elected to continue his left-hand turn and try to make it back to the field. He was lining up on this county road where there was a car, and it did not work out. He was a very good pilot. He made a very, very poor choice in trying to land that T-51 on a road. He went gear down on a road. One gear was down, and the other one was in the process of coming down. He selected gear down at the absolute last second. Did not work out, and John Williams died in that airplane crash. Horrible loss. Once again, a great guy. Really bad decision. That T-51 is a great airplane. I've not ever gotten to fly one, but they are spectacular. I do like them, and a huge loss to the aviation industry in the loss of John Williams. The next one on the list is November 18 Bravo Golf. I put ATC caused. I'm going to get into that in a little bit here. We're talking about air venture, air traffic control. No, I don't like it. And yes, I do have some suggestions. We have this problem up there every year. Too many airplanes crammed into the space. Bad ATC policies, bad ATC procedures, bad ATC culture. You can't do these to these private pilots. Interestingly enough, the pilot of this Lancer, I went to this crash site. This pilot was an air traffic controller. Formerly, he was an air traffic controller in LA, had just moved to Philly. That was his Lancer. That's his second accident, airplane accident. I don't have the details on the first one, but this particular case, he definitely got boxed into a corner. And I've heard all you people say, not possible for ATC to crash your airplane, floor you. Well, we have to give our pilots, if we're ATC, we have to give our pilots, we have to set them up for success, give them the best case conditions. We can't keep throwing all these strange, off-the-wall things at them and expecting them to come out. We have to give them the best case conditions. We have to give them standard. It's called flight standards. We have to give them standard conditions, standard operating, let them operate their airplane normally. He would have been just fine if you'd been given a normal downwind base and final and not had opposing traffic on the opposite right downwind head on with him. We don't know if it was prop blast or jet wash or anything, or if he just simply saw the second airplane and got scared. But in any case, 90 knots in Lancier, you can't define the speed for an airplane. They wanted him to fly at 90. There ain't no way I would fly a Lancier at 90 knots at 600 AGL with a big turn to make. That's way too slow. Lancier doesn't even hardly have a wing on it, and they've told him they want him at 90 knots. That's ATC flying your airplane for you. You fly whatever speed you want to fly and let ATC worry about the guy behind you that has to go around. Fine. You fly your min speed. You fly your max bank angle. I wouldn't bank that thing any more than 20 degrees, and I wouldn't get it any slower than DMMS, whatever it happened to be for the Lancier. He didn't. He listened to ATC. He flew 90, and he cranked it around. ATC didn't actually physically touch the controls, but they ordered him. They boxed him into that, and it's more of what you're about to see. It's the same thing with the Diamond DA-42 up there on the left downwind for 18 right that spilled it all over the runway. In that particular case, they were okay. They survived it, but they ended up low, large, sweeping hook turn left to go. It's the same thing Jack Roush did. There's no reason to fly a left downwind at 500 feet and out of energy for these approaches up at AirVenture, and that's what we're going to get into in just a minute. Let's take a look at the next one of these. This is November 460 Delta Charlie. That's the 206 in California. Gabe Culp, 49 years old. This is a Cal Fire airplane. This guy was a brand new commercial pilot, very low time. He owned a welding shop out there, and he had been a welder and a car guy for a long time, just recently got into flying. Now he got Cal Fire to pay for his flying so that he could use his commercial license to fly for Cal Fire. This is inadvertent VFR into IMC. The weather at this particular airport was horrible. They had come in VFR from another place. They were trying to get to the airport. This is very, very similar to Mr. Schneider and his crash that we just talked about a few minutes ago. These two guys tried to get to the airport. There is terrain all over the place out here. They flew it right into the terrain. This is a day VMC, a day VFR IMC accident. They ended up IMC scud running, trying to get to base where they were supposed to be, and they flew it right into the ground. Very, very common. It happens all the time. That's your big takeaway. Don't mess around with this IMC. You think it's going to be okay, and you think that you can go lower and make it to the airport. Can't be done. And these two guys just proved that. Gabe Culp, age 49. 357 Hotel Echo, that's the PC-12. Larry Haney, I'm going to go out on a limb on this thing. I don't like it. Larry was a private pilot, not super experienced in the PC-12. And the whole thing, to me, this airplane had been doing a lot of flying. This kind of looks like FAR Part 134 and a half. He owned the airplane. He was providing pilot service. He's hauling people around and charging them money. I think FSDO ought to look into that. The money that's changed hands on this thing, that's Larry's method of providing revenue on his PC-12, and he's a private pilot, not even a commercial pilot. You know he was getting paid. This whole thing, if you have a chance to board a turboprop or a jet, I would ask to see the guy's pilot's license. If it says private pilot, you're not going. Private pilot in a PC-12, that's ridiculous, especially carrying the caliber and the amount of money that he was carrying. Larry Haney, you're flying in this PC-12 at 26,000 feet, single pilot, and obviously it did not work out good. You need two people up there. You need at least a commercial pilot, and you need a tremendous amount of PC-12 experience to be up there doing what he's doing. What happened? Don't know yet. Larry on the radio said that he had autopilot problems, which is probably true. Was it ice? Was it autopilot? Was it handling? Got no idea yet, but shouldn't have been there. The whole thing should not have happened. You have the right as a passenger when you're boarding an airplane, ask to see your pilot's license. If it says private pilot and you're about to board a jet, that doesn't add up. I wouldn't do it. you jet pilots and turboprop pilots out there flying around these airplanes, take the effort to become a commercial pilot with an instrument rating and get yourself several 500, 600, 700 hours of turboprop time before you start carrying valuable people around. It's a recipe for disaster. That's all that happened here. I'm going to wait and hear what the rest of the report is on that, but that's the number 357 Hotel Echo. The very next one, number 61486. That's the engine failure. That's Gary Johnson, 65 years old, out in New York. Turns out he didn't have a pilot's license, didn't have a medical. Airplane hadn't been annualed in forever, and it was a fuel vapor problem. That engine was hovering over a site that he was supposed to be looking at for some job or something, that real estate that he owned. He was at about 50 feet when the engine quit. This airplane hit hard, and he was dead almost instantly. No pilot's license, no gyro cap. He did have a private pilot's license, but he had no logbook, no record of flight training, no record of anything for the last, I'm thinking it was like 10 years or something like that. Does that kind of stuff happen? Yes, it does. It's all fun and games until somebody gets hurt, and then you go and pull the records and figure out your airplane didn't even have an annual or a registration or a license or a medical. You had absolutely nothing, and then most importantly, you didn't have a way to vent your fuel line, and your fuel supply to your engine shut off, and that's all that happened out there. The very last one I'm going to talk about is the last one, number 903 US. That's the PA 28180 that we already talked about, Chuck Schneider. And that concludes that. That's July. I'm going to put August up on the screen here. August only has the one, and this particular one is a gyrocopter up in Michigan. This is a crazy story. Both him and his wife are both pilots. There's a crazy story about them hitting a truck 10 years ago in a fixed-wing airplane. They hit a truck while they were landing, and they sued the truck owner for damages because they flew in and hit the truck, and they said that it was the truck's fault for being in the way while they were landing. So that's what we got going on. So far, I don't know if it was the individual or his wife. Her name was Carol with a K. I don't know if it was him. The airplane was 140 Delta Golf, a single-seat experimental, weird gyrocopter, experimental, home-built kind of a thing. I don't know very much about it. Looked kind of interesting, but one of the two, we'll find out the next day who it was that was flying. I have the suspicion it was probably him. And that brings us to our totals for the year. We are currently at, if you take a look on here, we're at 82 for the year, whereas last year we were at 109. That's 27 better. Our fatal accident rate per month right now is 11.52, which is really good. 11.52 fatals per month. That's spread over the first 7 months of 2024 plus the first 4 days of August, prorated. We're at 11.52. We were hoping for 13 to close out 2024. We're hoping for 13. 13 would be amazing if we could hit 13. Right now we're at 11.52. It's going to go up. That number's going to inch up as the year closes out. Will we hit 2024 on the last day of the year at 13 or below? I don't know, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I want you to stay off of my page, off of my fatal accident page. I want you to stay straight ahead. Fly DMS. Be ready for your engine failure. Use better decisions and go to the hotel. You don't need to fly at night. You don't need to fly in thunderstorms. You don't need to be doing that stuff. It's not worth it. I can tell you, being in an airplane wreck is not fun. It hurts. Don't do it. I'm extremely lucky that I'm even alive coming out of the one that I was in. But you, with your airplane, it's painful. I can't even describe the excruciating pain of a plane crash, and you can be trapped in it like I was. It is not fun. Use better decisions. Don't fly at night. Fly DMS. If you have an engine failure, go straight ahead. Plan on having an engine failure. Do all those kind of things. I want to ask for your support on this channel. Remember, there's two ways to do this. Either the DTSB Super Fund or 501c3 is all set up and running and ready to go. If you have large donations and want to make a tax-deductible donation, that is great, and that information is in the description. If you want to support me with $1 or $2 for these videos that I create once a week that goes direct to me and my expenses and all that kind of thing, that is great. Here's a great way to do it. Zelle, PayPal, Cash App, Venmo. Now let's take a quick look at the answers. I'm going to put this up on the screen here. This is the data, and I'll put it up here. Surprise. Check this out. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Yes, I am number one. In the last 28 days, I have 3.2 million minutes watched. The closest person is Aviation 101. That's Josh. Flight Chops is at 1.5. These are in descending order. Air Safety Institute is at 1.4. AOPA is at 1.2. Flywire, Scott Purdue, 0.71. AvWeb, 0.54. All the way down to FAA, 0.04 million minutes watched. Are there others bigger and better with more minutes watched? Absolutely, yes. Yes, there are. I can tell you right now, Hoover with Pilot Debrief is absolutely killing it. He is staying above 7 million minutes watched per month pretty consistently. His stuff is pretty good. It's accident recap stuff. It's some stuff that you need to know. Hoover, Pilot Debrief. There's no wonder. He's got the goods. He's got the content. And this data that you're looking at on the screen here, this tells you what people are watching. Currently, of the ones listed, I am number one at 3.2 million. And here's my graph of where I started. I'm only 110,000 subscribers, but 3.2 million minutes watched is pretty consistent. I try to stay above 3. I've gone as high as 5 and 6 million minutes watched. If anybody ever tries to tell you that YouTube is measured by subscribers, they're wrong. YouTube has nothing to do with how many subscribers you have. It's all entirely based on how many minutes watched you have. That tells you whether your content is any good at all or not. You can have good content, but you got to produce consistent content and keep on producing it in order to get your minutes watched up above 1 million per every 28 days, and that's how they rate it. You know, we've already talked about the EAA negligence lawsuit. If you want a copy of that, it'll be on the Facebook page called AQP and Coffee. If you're a member of AQP and Coffee, you can download the entire thing on PDF for free. AQP and Coffee. That's where that document is located. This has to do with flying into AirVenture, and I'm going to show you this arrival here. This is the Fisk arrival off of the NOTAM. This is the Fisk arrival to runway 27, and if you look at the very bottom of this thing here, this is all the instructions they give you. They give you a map, and it says Oshkosh runway 27. But look at the bottom of this thing here. It says just turn base prior to reaching the shoreline. Do not continue past the shoreline unless advised by ATC. Now, here's some notes that I put on here. I want you to listen to some of these notes here. They will not tell you. They will tell you to start descent out of 1800 passing Fisk. Don't do it.
As soon as we're at Fisk, we start the descent. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm at 1800. I'm not going to go that much lower. I'm at 17 now.
They will tell you how wide to fly your downwind. You fly your normal downwind at your normal distance. 3, they will tell you when to put gear down. You put your gear down when you normally do. 4, they will tell you to begin descent at gravel pit. Don't do it. 5, they will box you in so tight that you are forced into a high bank, hook turn to final at high angle of bank. Don't do it. They will force you into a low altitude, non-stabilized approach. Don't do it. You fly your airplane. Don't allow ATC to box you in and force you into this low altitude hook turn. I'm going to put this graphic up on the screen here. This is what they're doing to you. They don't tell you in the NOTAM that this is coming, but here's what it is. You're 1,000 feet at the absolute most coming from Fisk. All the approaches, I've just used 27 here, but they're all the exact same thing. They want you descending before you ever even get to the downwind. That's 900 AGL, 700 AGL. You're basically at 500 AGL by the time you get to a beam, and then they want you one complete descending hook turn to final. It involves a very high degree bank, and they got 3 dots. Those red lines that I've got on the screen here, those are the dots that they want you to land. They could have you land at that far western red line, which only leaves you 3,100 feet. They want you a low descending out of energy turn to land with only 3,100 feet of runway remaining. I disagreed. I'm going to let you listen to some ACC tapes here. Here's an example of a guy telling you when to put the gear down.
Aircraft inbound for runway 27. Enter that right down inside the gravel pit. Begin your descent. On the downwind, ensure your gear is down, landing light is on, keeping that half mile in trail, 90 knots, 1,800 feet.
Here's a few of ATC telling you to stay inside the gravel pit. They're defining where you want to stay inside the gravel pit. That means that you're only 2,400 feet offset off the center line of this thing. Remember, a half mile to a mile is standard. They want you to stay inside the gravel pit. Listen to this.
Everyone coming in from Fisk, maintain 1,800 feet, so keep it inside the gravel pit on your downwind.
All aircraft inbound for runway 27, enter right down inside the gravel pit.
Everyone coming in from Fisk, you're going to enter right downwind inside the gravel pit. Everyone coming in from Fisk, keep it inside the gravel pit. Everyone coming in from Fisk, you're going to enter right downwind, keep it inside the gravel pit, maintain 1,700 feet. Everyone coming in from Fisk, maintain 1,800 feet, so inside the gravel pit, keep it inside the gravel pit.
Now here's a couple where they're telling you at the gravel pit, start your descent. This is at the gravel pit. You're not even basically established on your downwind. They're telling you to start your descent at the gravel pit. Listen to this.
Rolling over the gravel pit, start your descent. Fast over the gravel pit, start your descent. White to Havilland over the gravel pit, start your descent. Fast over the gravel pit, start your descent. Tail drag over the gravel pit, start your descent. Slowing over the gravel pit, start your descent.
Now the crazy thing is that they're telling you to turn. Listen to all of these instructions from ATC telling you one continuous turn. They want you downwind, one continuous right-hand turn. It's going to involve about a 30-degree bank from low altitude. Turn towards the number. Keep the turn coming. This is absolutely non-standard. Listen to this.
Tundra tires on downwind. Keep it coming down. Plan on one turn to final.
Okay, to Havilland, start your turn now. Start your turn towards the numbers 27, green dot, cleared land.
Cheers, keep it coming around right now. Keep it coming around. Overfly the orange, green dot, cleared land.
Keep it coming all the way around.
Number one, need you to keep turning it around. Keep coming. Keep turning, Cirrus. Keep it coming in. Cirrus.
Cherokee, keep it coming, rolling all the way around to 27.
Number two, keep your turning coming right around. Orange dot, cleared land.
Orange dot, cleared land, short final, keep it turning in towards the runway, 27, orange dot, cleared land.
There you go. Nice job. Keep that turn all the way in now. Point right towards the orange dot.
Low and short final, keep it coming all the way around.
Keep that turn coming around. Green dot, clear to land.
Far base over the show and tighten it up for me. Bring it all the way in. Go direct the numbers right now. Runway 27, clear to land, green dot.
Keep bringing that turn all the way around.
High wing, keep that base coming all the way around. Overfly the orange dot, green dot, clear to land.
Just tail dragger, keep bringing it all the way around.
Keep the turn coming all the way around, green light clear, and keep it turning.
Bring it all the way around, one turn.
Second tail dragger, turn your base now, keep it coming all the way around. Overfly the orange dot, green dot, clear to land.
All right, just keep coming all the way around, green dot, clear to land, 27.
There you go, keep it coming all the way around. You can overfly the orange dot, green dot, clear to land. Good job.
One turn.
High wing, keep it coming all the way around, runway 27, clear to land. To Havilland, keep your turn coming.
Keep bringing that turn all the way around.
Good job, keep it coming all the way around. Overfly the orange dot, green dot, clear to land, runway 27.
Orange RV over the gravel pit, start your descent, plan on one turn to final. Runway 27, green dot, clear to land. You'll be turning inside of a bearing. Plan on one turn to final. Yellow RV over the gravel pit, start your descent, plan on one turn to final. Runway 27, clear to land, green dot. Keep it bringing it all the way around on the turn.
The whole thing is completely chaotic. I'm going to let you listen to a go-around. I heard probably 50 go-arounds. I pulled all the tapes. I listened to probably 2,700 instances of ATC telling pilots how to fly their airplane. Remember, ATC, you can't determine my altitude on downwind. You can't tell me what speed to fly. You can't tell me when to put my gear down. All you can do is tell me to extend my downwind. That's fine. You're the spacing people. You're air traffic control. You're collision avoidance people. You cannot give us instructions on when to start a descent on the downwind. It's illegal. You can't do that. You got to come up with a different method. Here's the method that I've come up with, and I'll put it on the screen here. Notice the airplane's still coming in from Fisk, and they could be separated out 1,000 feet. You fly your downwind, they could tell you to extend your downwind, or they could say start your turn to base now. It's the same thing you got at any other airport. The spacing is the spacing, the arrival rate is the arrival rate. You should have a gate, wings level on speed, no less than 300 AGL, and touch down someplace. Once you touch down, you could definitely exit either left or right. You could use the whole runway. Just get off the runway either left or right, whichever is appropriate. The amount of airplanes you can fit on that runway is the amount. You doing a 500-foot downwind with a tight spiraling hook turn to final doesn't save anything. Here's what it says in the airplane information manual. I got this copied here, and it says the pilot, this is right out of the book, the pilot should be aware of the appropriate traffic pattern altitude before entering the pattern. You think? And to allow adequate time for planning the intended path in the pattern and the landing approach. The pilot should ensure the entry leg is a sufficient length to provide a clear view of the entire traffic pattern and to allow adequate time for planning the intended path and traffic pattern for the landing approach. Yes, entries into traffic patterns while descending create specific collision hazards that should be avoided. Yes, starting down inside of a you can't do this. Absolutely, you can't do this. And look at the last one here. It says This leg is flown a half mile to 1 mile out from the landing runway. This is the downwind leg. It should be a half to 1 mile out. You know what they got up at Oshkosh? They have 2,400 feet offset. It's a very low, close-in downwind in all cases. It's too close, it's too low, it's too big of a hook turn. Here's what I put on this thing. It says all AirVenture VFR arrivals require unsafe, non-standard, low-altitude downwind offset of very close 0.4 nautical miles, requiring 1 banking hook turn to final in a potentially very low-energy condition. Don't do it. You know, Jack Pelton isn't going to answer me. He's not going to answer you. If you want to send an email to Jack Pelton, you won't get a reply. They're not going to change anything. All you got to do is just say, too dangerous, too unsafe, too non-standard, too chaotic. I'm not participating. I'm not flying into that mess. If I were you, I would not fly into this until they sit down at the table and accept some instruction, some critique, some conversation from some other people on how to do this. The arrival rate is the arrival rate. You cannot fit any more airplanes in there. In fact, you're going to go slower by having to stop every 2 hours and clean up bodies and airplane pieces off the runway. Slow down, fly a stabilized approach, stabilized downwind, call the base, extend them, whatever you need to do. Give them a chance to do their checklist. You can't talk to these people that fast and yell at them and make them do this continuing turn. The whole thing is completely insane.
Number 1, need you to keep turning it around. Keep coming, keep it coming, keep it coming. Keep turning Cirrus, keep it coming in, keep it coming in, Cirrus.
Cirrus, start to turn inbound.
Cirrus, start to turn inbound now, please. Inbound now. Nice job, Cessna. You're following the Cirrus heading to your right. Cirrus, I need you to keep it up down to the runway. The low wing. How about that low wing? It's we gave you the upgrade. The low wing, keep straight ahead now, or green dot clear line, keep it up in the air. Number 2, keep your turn and coming right around, orange dot clear to land.
Number 3, extend just a minute. I'll call you base here in just a second.
You know what, Cessna, that's straight now, go around. Climb up now, climb up now. Downwind traffic, keep going downwind. I'll call your base shortly. Midfield downwind, keep your altitude, keep straight ahead. Thank you very much. Number 2, I appreciate that. Number 1, all the way down to the green dot, clear to land. Straight in, runway 27, clear to land on the numbers only. On the numbers only for the short final. The base traffic's over the water now. Turn base now. Turn base now over the water.
All right, I got to get out of here. I'm going to plead one more time for help on this thing. If you have an opportunity to get to slide me $1 or $2, that helps a lot, especially right now. Zelle, PayPal, Cash App, Venmo. I hope you'll support this effort that I've got with EAA. I am going to hold their feet to the fire. This negligence lawsuit is huge, first ever. We'll see if AvWeb ever does run an article on this. It's a huge story. AvWeb, I think they're completely afraid to print anything against the almighty EAA, but we'll see what happens. I'm going to get out here and get this video up and on the air. Thanks for hanging with us here tonight, and make sure you say hi in the live chat. We'll leave this up for just a second. We'll see you next Sunday night. For my tiny little, itty-bitty, 3.2 million minutes watched YouTube channel, Dan Grider, probable cause.